How's everybody doing? Oh, is my mic on? Can you guys hear me? Hello, 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 hello. All right. No, I don't know how to dance. I learned everything from Carl. All right. They said to steal everything and implement it better, but that's why I took dance lessons from Carl. You know, I also heard this in the bathroom, and I heard an interesting statistic that 1 in 3 people are ugly. Did you guys ever hear this one? Right? So, hey, look to if it's not the person to your left, and it's not to the person to your right, guess what? Morris, it's you. All right? All right. Hey, I can do this because I have the mic. All right, what we're going to teach you guys is how to properly sharpen the knives. Okay? We're not going to talk about anything informative about how to do service calls. We're not going to talk about how to close anybody on bigger orders on service calls. What we are going to teach you is how to properly sharpen the Cutco knives, the straight edge, the double D edge as well. Okay? Everything that you guys are going to learn about service calls on how to better connect with your customers, how to get more recommendations from customers are going to be in the breakouts in a few minutes. Okay? So a few things. I just wanted to see by a show of hands, how many of you guys have a sharpening kit? Raise your hands high if you have a sharpening kit. Okay? One of the biggest things about doing service calls is having a sharpening kit is supplementary to your business. Now notice I did say supplementary. I didn't say this is the end-all be-all, let's do service calls, because we all know that the bread and butter of the job is doing presentations for Mrs. Jones that's never heard or has seen Cutco before. However, what I am going to teach you, I know many of you guys have been sharpening knives before. How many of you just learned how to sharpen knives this summer? Raise your hands high, okay? Now, if you don't have a sharpening kit, I think that one of the things that you guys can focus on is talking to your manager. You need to be at least $6,000 in sales to purchase a sharpening kit from your customer. Of course, it is there to help supplement and augment your business, put more money in your pocket in the long run. So let me go in and jump straight in and start teaching you guys how to properly sharpen Cutco. Now, this is going to be very informative, simply because I think that everybody in this room does not sharpen the Cutco properly. Okay? First, here's your sharpening kit. Right here. This is the Ed Reed sharpener, a great legend in our business who helped design the Cutco sharpener. The two most important things of the Cutco sharpener are the safety rods. Okay? These are the two most important components of the sharpening kit. Simply because what this does is it protects your hands from falling off. Okay? All right. It also comes with a nice velvet, whatever you want to call it, rope collector case. And it also comes with 2 fine stones right here and for honing. And it also comes with 2 stones which are more coarse that do the sharpening. Notice that they also include on each of the stones grooves for the double D edge. This is completely different from the sharpener that comes on the price list or is in the blue book. The one in the blue book is simply for straight edges that we carry. These ones obviously do it a lot better, and this is so that way the customer doesn't have to send back the Cutco and they're without their knives for 2 to 3 weeks. Okay? All right. So when you get into a customer's house, they're going to have straight edges and double D edges. Me personally, it really is preference. I personally like to sharpen the straight edges first because I think they're a little bit more challenging. The double D edges are a lot easier, so I like to do those after. Okay? So what you want to do is first, there's 2 parts. I know that most people, when they were taught to sharpen, they were taught one of 2 ways. Okay? They were taught, what most people do is they use these for the straight edges, and they use these white ones for the double D edge. Okay? The second way most people were taught to sharpen Cutco knives was to use these, the brown or gray stones, for ones that are a little bit more dull, and the white ones for ones that haven't been used as much. And both of those ways, if you're taught to sharpen Cutco, either of those ways, that's actually a complete misconception. Okay? So, which is probably most of you in this room. Just by a show of hands, who here was taught one of those two ways? Raise your hands high. Okay? Most of you in this room. The proper way to sharpen Cutco knives is to actually use both. Okay? Both stones, both set of stones. What we're going to first do is we're going to use the harder gray stones, the more coarse stones for the sharpening, and to get in there a little bit more to sharpen the edge. And then we're going to use the more coarse stone, the porcelain stones right here for fine tuning and for honing. Okay, so what you want to do is first you take the straight edge, make sure you have your safety rods, and we're actually going to put the gray stones in first. Now, when you do a straight edge, what you want to do is you actually want to take the points, okay, of the stone. It's triangular, so you guys can actually see that you want to place both of the points face inward, okay, because that is what is going to do the sharpening. And we'll stick the white ones aside for a minute. It's also great, one of the best things that you can do when you're sharpening is to test the Cutco knives first. I like to test it on either a piece of paper or even better to test it on a piece of leather. Okay? And that's what to test it out before you start sharpening. So what we want to do, you always want to sharpen, you want to be respectful, you want to sharpen on top of your cutting board or sharpen on top of a cloth because there is dust or metals that may get onto somebody's cloth or may get onto somebody's table. Okay? You want to keep it at a 90-degree angle, perpendicular to the points, and you want to start at the back of the blade. Okay? You want to start at the back of the blade, and in one fell swoop, in one motion, you actually want to drag the straight edge down the side of the edge or down the side of the point. Okay? And you obviously don't want to do it on one side and then do it on the other. You actually want to go back and forth. That way you can keep the blade even. Okay? And you can do it slowly. Now obviously the slower you can do it, the more opportunity you'll have to be able to talk with your customer, build more rapport with the customer, and also sell them more Cutco. Okay? So you want to do it over and over again. Okay? I recommend, depending on, you want to find out how long the customer's had the knives. You want to find out what she's used her straight edges on. You want to ask questions about it. And you can tell just by testing it out how dull the straight edges actually are. Okay? So let's just say the knives have been used, a few times throughout the week. And she uses it properly. She's had it about 4 to 5 years. You want to do it about 20 to 30 times on each side to give it a good sharpen, applying good force. You don't have to apply excessive force. You don't need to push down really hard and grind on the Cutco knives. Be delicate with them. The worst thing that you can do, and this is a mistake that many people have made, is ruining customers' knives. I know I've done that before. I went field training with Carl Gedris a few years ago, and I found out that he was actually sharpening his customers' knives incorrectly for 3 years. Okay? 3 years. He was actually doing the straight edges on these points right here. That's the worst thing that you can do to Mrs. Jones' straight edges. Okay? I think that's why all of his customers kept coming back and buying more, as he kept ruining it. All right. So you want to do it about 20 to 30 times. You want to test it. Okay? Okay? And after that, what you want to do is you want to hone it. Okay? And do the same thing with the white stones. Okay? About 20 to 30 times, depending. Okay? After that, what you want to do is you want to test it on a piece of leather. Okay? Notice that it cuts straight through, and as long as it's cutting through, you can also try it on a piece of fruit or a vegetable. And of course, sharpen it one last time simply because we just dulled it by cutting some leather. Okay? Do it a few more times. And that's the straight edge. Okay? You can do it one last time on the white stones as well. That is the proper way to do the straight edge knife. Okay? Now, if you guys find that the straight edges still won't sharpen, you might want to try a little bit harder on the gray stones, or if it's completely dull, then it's time for the customer to send the Cutco back. Okay? All right, now on to the double D edge. Okay? Obviously, if you do a lot of sharpening throughout the day, or customers have ultimate sets, your arms can get kind of tired. Okay? And the double D edge, does require a little bit of work. Okay? It's always good to, again, test the Cutco out. Okay? And you can see if it cuts through. If it drags a little bit through the leather, it does need some sharpening. Okay? Because of how knives work, once it hits the cutting board, what tends to happen is the knives develop burrs. And when they develop burrs, it causes the knife to actually move in a different direction. And what we want to do is we want to actually remove the burrs and sharpen the edge inside. Okay? So it's a little bit different with the double D edge. With the double D edge, what you want to do is on one side, you want to have the points or the grooves facing inward. On the other side, you want to actually keep that smooth. Okay? Because if you notice, on the Cutco, one side is straight, the other side is angled for the double D edge. Okay? So what we want to do first is you kind of want to do it like a toothbrush. And about 20 or 30 times you want to go up and down, okay, depending on how dull the knives are, on the grooves, okay? And then move it, okay? And you want to do this the full length of the blade, okay? And you can actually feel it just by going up and down. You can feel if the knives are being sharpened, okay? So we do this through the whole blade, and that is one side that we do. That is the angled side, okay? Now after you do this, what tends to happen is there are little burrs, okay? It's kind of hard to see, but what happens is the blade, it'll kind of scrape your fingers a little bit, and you can feel where those burrs are. So what we want to do on this side is we want to actually remove those burrs and straighten out the other side of the double D edge. So when you're sharpening the double D edge knives, it's really important to continuously check to see if the back side of the knife is completely smooth. Here I can feel that it's still scraping my fingers or my skin, so I want to straighten it out a little bit more. Then just like the straight edge, we sharpen it with the gray stones. We want to put the white stones in there as well. Notice again that the grooves are faced inward and the flat side on the other side. Okay? We want to do the same thing. Okay? You can actually notice it being sharpened right here. Okay? Your white stones will get dirty, okay, on both sides. Same thing. If you want to speed things up, obviously, you're moving from appointment to appointment, or you have a whole ultimate set or a signature set to sharpen, then you can move a little bit quicker. Okay? Same thing, we test for that, and then you notice that there's no drag on the leather when it's testing. Okay? Those are the basic things about sharpening knives. Again, you always want to test it first on a piece of leather or a piece of rope, and then you want to test it on a piece of paper or a piece of fruit or a vegetable. Okay? Just remember, when you guys are sharpening, when you guys do get your kits, if you don't have your kits, your sharpening kit, ask your manager, invest in the sharpening kit, because it's an easy way to get an appointment with somebody who already has Cutco. And make sure you ask a lot of questions, and you're always testing the knives. Again, just to remind you, always using 2 sets of stones, putting the hand guards first, and using the gray stones and to sharpen the knives and to fine-tune them and hone them. You're going to end up using the white stones. That's the way to properly sharpen the knives. In the breakouts later on, depending on what level you guys are at, you guys are going to properly learn how to do a service call, how to introduce the Cutco, how to build up wish lists, and how to close orders with people that already own Cutco. Thank you.